You got challenges that you're going to run across.
Yeah. He was a year older than me. So
Okay.
we were real close in age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you look up to him like that, or you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Him and my older cousin, Jarvis. The matter of fact, like when it comes to my cohorts and friends and associates, those are the only two people who I ever looked up to my entire life, because I always been an independent thinker, and still was an independent thinker even amongst them two. But yeah, absolutely, him and my older cousin Jarvis. Them the only two people who I ever looked up to my entire life that was, with me around my age or somewhere around my age.
Okay. So at an early age, did you get involved into where you were a part of the juvenile system, like something actually happened where you was arrested during that time, or was it a little bit later to where, when you start getting involved with the court system?
Man, it was a combination. It was a combination of both, because like the first incident I ended up having to go through. This was my first introduction into just to the court system, period, into like a tribunal for bringing a gun to school, and it was really just a BB gun, but it looked just so so real and so authentic, and I brought it to school, with bad intentions for sure, and I probably was I was like around middle school.
Mm-hmm. And so when they found the gun, then did you get it? Like, were you out of school for a week?
Yeah, out of school, reprimanded, all of that type of stuff. It was it was an experience. It was my first experience of being classified as a problem, or the first stages of being classified as a criminal, and your teachers kind of label you and just say, hey, you this type of kid, so that was my first introduction into that for sure.
So at that time, was your family, your mother saying, okay, if you get in trouble again, we're going to put you out the house, or that kind of stuff, or were they kind of allowing you to get away with certain things?
Nah, they definitely wasn't allowing me to get away with certain things, but at the same time, man, like my family was like, I never went through that like, oh, I'm gonna kick you out of the house stage. Now I'm gonna get reprimanded, I'm gonna get my ass beat, all of that type of stuff. But I think for some of us, when my family was still so much, we loved each other so much, even in the midst of having so many dysfunctional components going on, through this period of our lives. So, for me, what came of that was, I carry this with me to this day, as my grandma having a conversation with me on the front porch, and she was like, listen, whatever you decide to do, or think that you want to do, understand the consequences that come with the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you can deal, with the consequences that come with the worst case scenario, the decision you're about to make, then, go with your move. But her message, my mom's message was always understanding the consequences that came with your decision making. So, when I got to that place, like, everything was easy, but the backside, the downside of that was me, not really caring about the consequences, what I'm saying? Not really understanding my value, my worth, or, anything of that nature. So I always knew the consequences and the possibilities of, things going left or not how I anticipated. And I understood the consequences with that, and for me, it was like the worst thing that could happen is death.
Right.
That's, so if death wasn't involved, I really ain't, I really didn't care. What I'm saying? And even in some instances when I knew death was involved, I still ain't care.
Yeah, right. That was a part of it. I guess growing up, you probably saw that. You probably saw friends and people that would die, and he's like, that's just a part of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So I remember seeing a house that was on your Instagram, and I asked you about that. I said, "Is that the house you grew up in?" You said, "No, that's the house that we did business out of." So that was like I guess a trap house in your neighborhood. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the all button and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have a lot of good interviews on this podcast.